Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I am flying solo again on the very last episode of 2016. That's right, folks, 2017 is poking its head just right around the corner, and we are about to wave goodbye to 2016, and may I say, about goddamn time, okay? We all know all the crap that's happened this year, all the news headlines and celebrity deaths and all this stuff to go around. So I think I can say and speak for everyone when I say welcome 2017. Hopefully things will be a little different this time. Now, like I said before, I am flying solo today. Lisa is out. She's actually out of state. Her cousin's getting married, so she and my daughter are gone for the week. And I'm single now. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not single, but I am on my own. It's going to be very weird. I haven't gone this long or been this far apart from my wife for probably the last 6 years or so. And I've never been gone this long without seeing my daughter. So we'll see how long I last. We'll see if I can actually learn how to fend for myself being a solo act. But we'll wait and see. But anyway, guys, on today's show, around the holidays, there's not a lot of news that spouts out because everyone knows that people are busy and not a lot comes out. There's a few things that I wanted to talk about before we get started. I got a new trailer, or the first trailer, from Ridley Scott's new Alien movie, Alien Covenant, that I'm going to talk about briefly as well. And later on, we're going to have Lourdes Manning, our resident Doctor Who expert, come on and talk about the Doctor Who holiday special and also the new trailer for the 10th season of Doctor Who, so we'll get into that as well. And then I'm going to wrap it all up with kind of my best of 2016. Like I said, it was a slow year, but there were some good things that happened. So I'm going to run down some of my top comic books, top sci-fi, fantasy, TV shows, and movies. And you guys fire back and let me know what you think as well. So before I get on to topics, I'm going to start off with some sad stuff. Just bear with me a little bit. Yesterday, we all heard that Carrie Fisher, who played Princess Leia Organa in the Star Wars saga, has passed away. A few days before Christmas, she was on a plane and had a heart attack and went to the hospital. And like the day before she passed away, said she was in stable condition. And unfortunately, yesterday morning, a statement was released that she had passed on. Now, in 2016, we had a lot of celebrity deaths, and as a big Star Wars fan, this one kind of hit me closest to home. I was going to do this show yesterday, but given the news, I had to have an emergency viewing of the Star Wars saga, or Star Wars trilogy, excuse me. I got home after running my errands, and I had already watched New Hope a couple days before I watched Rogue One, so I skipped that. And then I just watched Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. It's, and I see everyone online as well as myself, just all the love and support that people are giving her family and how many of us are saddened by this as well. To me, it's very tragic, the fact, she was only 60 years old, and in this day and age, people live to be 80 easily. Of course, she had several health issues, I guess, throughout her life. She battled mental illness and substance abuse and all these other things. But when you look at it, I want to talk a little bit about Carrie Fisher, the actress, both in and out of Star Wars. She, as Princess Leia, was kind of revolutionary in the female heroines. Princess Leia, with the help of George Lucas, who wrote the script for Star Wars, was a princess who didn't need to be rescued. She was picking up a blaster and firing it right there along with the boys, but in doing so, she didn't lose her femininity. It was a way she was a female that could be tough without having to be masculine and losing her female mystique. I guess that's what you call it. But what she brought to that character was phenomenal. And again, as a Star Wars fan, I can't believe we're losing someone like that so young, such an icon that I think we will all remember for quite a long time. Now, outside of Star Wars, as I said, Carrie Fisher, she's written several books. She's also been in several other movies, When Harry Met Sally, The Burbs. She was even had a guest spot in the Star Wars fan film Fanboys, which if you like Star Wars and have not seen Fanboys, let me know. I'll give you a copy of that. But also, again, when I was talking about how she's battled mental illness and substance abuse, that's what her books are about, and how she kind of was very open about talking about these things, and always tried to laugh it off and tried to let us all learn from it as well. She was just seemed like a really nice person. I, of course, never personally met her, but there was something interesting that I heard when I was listening to John Campea from Collider Movie talk about Carrie Fisher, and he mentioned about all the hours he spent watching the Star Wars original trilogy, and how he's probably spent more time or more hours with Carrie Fisher in that sense than he has with several people that he knows and probably cares about. And when I thought about it, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've spent so many times watching that Star Wars trilogy, and I watch The Empire Strikes Back every chance I get because it's one of my favorite movies ever. And going all the way back from when I was a kid to now, if I logged all the hours I spent watching Carrie Fisher on screen, it'd be quite a long time, which is astronomically more than probably, time I spent with people that, I love and care about as well. So even though it's someone that I have no idea, what she was like in real life, I never met her, I never talked to her. We fans, of course, feel like we did know her a lot through the Star Wars films and the books she read and the interviews and what she was able to show us, at least that little bit of glimpse of her. And it's tragic, especially just a few days after music lost an icon, George Michael. And he, again, was younger, in the 50s as well. And it's just, we're coming to that point as a child of the 80s and 90s, actors and actresses that we admired when we were younger, that were, probably in their 30s and 40s, we're now in our 30s and 40s, and, they're getting up there. Harrison Ford's in his 70s, and people like, say, Michael Douglas or, Mel Gibson, or all these guys that were action heroes, are getting up there in age too. It's tragic, especially, when Carrie Fisher, like I said, she was only 60, and in an age where people live to be quite a long time, even more than that, it's very, very sad. Needless to say, it hit me home very hard, and I hope this is going to be the last celebrity death that 2016 takes. I know 2017, of course, we're going to have more celebrity deaths, and hopefully none that are as tragic than this one. But in any event, we will press on, guys. So, jumping off of that into some happier news, Fox has debuted the new trailer for Ridley Scott's Alien Covenant. Now, Ridley Scott returns to the directing chair in this new chapter of the franchise. We have the ship Covenant, which is bound for a remote planet on the far side of the galaxy, discovering what they think is an uncharted paradise, but is actually a dark, dangerous world. When they uncover a threat beyond their imagination, they must attempt to escape with their lives. Alien Covenant opens on May 19th, 2017, stars Michael Fassbender, Catherine Watterson, Billy Crudup, and Danny McBride. I just went through and rewatched the trailer again, guys, and as a person who likes the Aliens franchise but isn't in love with it, I was impressed with the trailer. I was one of those guys, though, that liked Prometheus. I didn't love it, I liked it, and I don't see what a lot of people's issues with it were. I mean, as far as just a sci-fi film, it was good, and of course it got that little connection to Alien. Now, I will say, of course, people who are big fans of the Alien franchise, I can see why they're upset. It wasn't too much of a tie-in, but a little bit of a tie-in. It just as a sci-fi film, I thought it was fine, but I don't see what the big deal was. But with this one, Fox decided to say, F it, let's just call it an Alien film, and it's the sequel to Prometheus, but it's also a prequel to the Alien films as well, which of course is going to mean a couple things. First off, looks like we actually get to see some aliens in this. We saw some xenomorphs, which of course, then become aliens or lay their eggs to become aliens as they gestate inside people. Gross. And we saw that shower scene with those two people, and the alien tail is coming between them. So it's a safe bet to say we're actually going to see aliens in this Alien film, which maybe probably what people were a little upset about with Prometheus, maybe. I don't know. It's kind of like where George Lucas used to say that people's gripe about the prequel films is because they didn't have Darth Vader in it. I don't believe that, and I don't believe it with this Prometheus film either. But anyway, looks like I'm going to be very interested to see how it's a continuation of the Prometheus movie. We see Michael Fassbender, who played the android David, and last we knew he was just ahead and going with, what's the actor's name? Anyway, he was heading off planet. So I'm curious to see how many years it is from the end of Prometheus to Alien Covenant. Looks like he's in charge or leading the mission, or, they find him and he's exploring it. I don't know how exactly it works, per se, but we'll just have to wait and see how that goes. But overall, I mean, in Alien, the people said Alien, the first film, was a horror film, but Aliens by James Cameron was an action movie. From this, we're definitely getting back to the roots of the horror suspense genre, I think, just from this trailer. And I think people are going to like it. Again, I'm not the biggest Alien supporter, but I do enjoy the franchise, and I think I will go see this one in theaters. Probably have to review Alien and Aliens and maybe in Prometheus before I do that, but I'm looking forward to checking it out. I think it'll be good. Alright guys, so right now I am joined by our resident Doctor Who expert, Lourdes Manny. Lourdes, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, no problem.
Alright, so Lourdes was privileged enough last night to experience the Doctor Who holiday special this year in theaters via Fathom Events. Now, you're usually very adamant about every day on Christmas getting to watch your Doctor Who. Yeah. What was it like getting to experience it in theaters this year?
No, it was awesome because it was big and it was loud. And,
it was loud?
And there were cosplayers. And
oh, really? Yeah, so people came dressed up and stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, that's cool.
And it was really good. And they had like a special before and a little special after. So it was cool. It was
what
really
specials
cool.
were there?
In the beginning, there was one called... something about is the Doctor a hero? Was a little. They interviewed some people.
Okay.
And at the end, they had the making of the special.
Okay, that's cool.
So yeah, it was really cool.
Okay, so as far as the special itself, I of course, not watching Doctor Who. I saw the trailer for it, and it looked like it had kind of a bit of a superhero slant to us. Tell us kind of what was it about, or what was the premise of the storyline?
Yeah, it was a spoof on comic book superheroes. It was just like a fun episode. It had nothing to do with anything really Doctor Who, although it left the door open for some stuff.
It didn't connect to like what episodes before and stuff like that, or
no, it connected to nothing. It was it was a spoof on comic book superheroes. Like there was a boy, and his wallpaper is all comic book graphics. He's reading an old Superman comic, like an original one when we first meet him. And at the corner of his building is Joe's Pizza. Like from Spider-Man, it's like the exact facade.
Okay. I gotcha.
So it's all like superhero stuff, and then of course he becomes a superhero, and then the villain alien race in the story is new. It's kind of like an invasion of the body snatchers type of villain. They have like a room full of brains.
They're like brain swapping aliens. I heard.
Yeah. So, but at the end of this, they are not actually wiped out, and there's a unit soldier that goes in at the end. One of the unit soldiers, we can see he's become one of them. So that leaves totally the door open for this villain to come back. And I think they're going to be called... oh, Christ, I just forgot. The name of their company.
So this is a new alien group. Not anything we've seen before on Doctor Who.
Nothing we've seen before. It's totally new.
Okay, so there's no... Have they named them, like you said, or
yeah,
no?
they're called... The company is called... Oh, my gosh. Whatever the company is called is, I believe, what they're called.
Okay.
So they had like a ship in space, and they had a building set up all over the country, in all the capital cities and New York City.
Okay.
Turns out that the one in New York City was one that was it was protected where their bomb, where they were going to blow up all the other ones, it wouldn't affect that one. So all the world leaders would come to that one, and then they'd have them all and switch all their brains.
Okay.
That was like the premise of it.
A little odd. Okay. I mean, how does it compare? I mean, as far as, like I said, it is kind of a spoof on the superhero genre.
Yeah.
So how does it tie into, Doctor Who with, the mastering of time and space and stuff like that? I mean, did it travel between?
Yeah. Well, yeah, absolutely. So we haven't had any episodes since the last Christmas special.
Okay,
there were no special.
No, in 2000. Wow, 2016 was really a
no Doctor Who at all. We're not even going to see any more until like the spring, April maybe.
Oh, really? Okay.
That's when Series 10 will start.
We'll get into that. Go ahead.
So there were none, and when the last Christmas special was the Husbands of River song, and he was spending a night with River in this planet, but a night in that planet, a day in that planet is 24 years. So he had met this boy, and then he went to see River, and when he comes back, the boy is 24, and he realizes he's become a superhero because of something that the Doctor did when he saw him when he was like 8 years old.
Okay, there you go.
6 years old.
That's
where the time comes in.
Okay.
And one of the characters from the Husbands of River song called Nardal, he's back with the Doctor. He's not like a companion, but he was in it. And he's actually going to be in Series 10.
That's the bald-headed guy, right?
The bald-headed guy, yeah.
Okay.
He's, I guess, a comedian. So that's continuity there. But that's what happened. He had seen the boy, went to visit River one night, which is 24 years, comes back, and the boy has become a superhero. Yeah.
Okay. How did the boy get his superpowers?
The Doctor had a contraption up on top of this building, which looks so much like a contraption that the 11th Doctor made in Craig's apartment. Craig is the role played by James Corden. Okay. He was in 2 episodes for the 11th Doctor.
Nice.
And it looked like the same contraption, maybe a little bit bigger, because there was a disturbance in the area. And he had like a crystal that he needed to activate that, and he gave it to the boy to hold it. But the boy had been sick, and he thought it was medicine, so he ate it.
He ate the crystal.
With some water, because the Doctor gave him a glass of water to hold. He goes, well, you gave me this and a glass of water. I thought I was supposed to drink it, eat it. So he did, and the Doctor thought he'd pass it, but he didn't, and it gave him superpowers, extra vision, flying, super strength, all that. And he becomes the Ghost. That's what he calls himself, the Ghost, yeah.
Interesting, yeah. That's played by Justin Chatwin, right?
Chatwin, yeah. He was good, too. It was good. And the girl that plays kind of the love interest, she's a reporter. Yeah. They have known each other since they were kids, and he works as her nanny. And of course,
wait, who works as the nanny?
This is Justin Chatwin. They still know each other. The girl.
So she has a child.
She has a child, because she married someone else, had a child, and because he's always loved her. Mm-hmm. But so anyway, so his mask for this ghost superhero is just not very much of a mask. But of course, she has no clue that it's him.
Of course.
So yeah. But no, it's very cute, very cute. I mean, the Husbands of River song was also kind of a romp. I don't know. I heard some reviews today, and people are saying they like the other one, the Husbands of the River song, better, but they like this one. I don't know. I liked it just as much. I thought it was fun.
Well,
and the Doctor, they were made a lot of references to other Doctor Who shows and things. As a matter of fact, toward the end, the Doctor says something about, wow, this is really getting meta. And so, because there were so many references to so much stuff, and I think he was kind of referring to the fact that this is going to be Moffat's last season, and it might be PCAP's, might be his last season. I mean, he's been asked to come back after Series 10, but he hasn't made up his mind yet. So we don't know for sure that he's coming back. If he has told them, and we just don't know, they probably are already looking for another Doctor.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh.
He hasn't made the formal decision yet.
He hasn't been around that long yet. I mean, as far as
this is his 3rd season.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the problem. I mean, they've gone, like I said, it's just the fact that they've gone so far in between seasons. Like you said, we didn't get anything in 2016.
An entire year. It'll be like almost a year and a half.
Okay.
Yeah, with just the one special. So yeah, so it's a lot. And so Series 10, you want to know a little bit about Series 10?
Well, I was going to say, I did watch I saw the trailer for the Series 10 that was coming out.
Yes.
We're introduced to a new character, Bill. Is that what it is?
Bill, yeah. Okay. Pearl Mackie, she plays Bill.
And she kind of joins in, and she knows the Doctor. I guess he's working as a professor of some kind as well.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then he brings her into the world and onto the TARDIS and all that stuff.
Yeah. And you might have noticed in the trailer that she asks a lot of questions like, what is this? Where's the kitchen?
Yeah.
How do you go to the bathroom? So I think what they're going to do is they're going to use her like Rose in the beginning. She's going to be like an explainer.
Okay, so for new viewers.
For new viewers,
okay.
exactly. I mean, Rose started out that way when they brought Nine back, when they brought the show back, New Who came back. So she's probably going to serve that kind of a purpose, but it looks like fun. It looks like they got some good. They got Daleks.
Yeah, it looks like they've got a lot of old school Doctor Who mythology coming back, and just kind of again reintroducing everybody to Doctor Who, and a good starting off point.
Because if he does not stay, chances are she will. So she'll stay with the new one, and then that way, because a lot of times they do that, they'll keep one or the other.
Okay.
For continuity, and not start off with two brand new characters.
Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha. That's interesting. Okay. Cool. Well, overall, you liked the holiday special, though, right?
Yeah. I did. I liked it a lot.
And the new one starts in April, right?
I think it's April.
Okay.
There's no date yet. I haven't seen a date yet, but it's going to be in April.
Okay.
But so far, we know for sure that Missy is coming back. She'll be in at least one of the episodes, and we know Nardole is coming back. And we know there are going to be 12 episodes, which is awesome. I'm not familiar with a lot of the guest stars that have been announced. They've only announced several, but I know David Suchet is going to guest star. He's Poirot. He's going to be a character called the Landlord. And the writing is pretty cool. Jamie Matheson, who wrote Flatline and Mummy on the Orient Express, two great 8th season episodes. He's coming back, and he also co-wrote one with Moffat, the girl who died. So he's coming back. It's reported that Mark Gatiss has written a script, but he's not listed in the for sures. So, and he always writes one, so we don't know. There are 2 brand new writers to Doctor Who, and there are 2 female writers. Sarah Dollard is writing a story, and she wrote Face a Raven last year, which was really great. And she's written for Being Human and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then they've brought back a female writer from the classic series. Her name is Rona Munro. She actually wrote the 7th Doctor's final story, a story called Survival that's got a love-hate relationship with the fans. But this makes her another female writer in New Who, but only the 4th female writer in New Who. I mean, it's a step forward, but they need to do more, I think.
Well, yeah, of course.
With female writers.
Do you think maybe, again, say this is, Capaldi's last season, do you think they'd be willing to switch it up, to be either, whether it be making a female doctor or even, a minority, like a black doctor?
I have a feeling, Moffat is giving up the ship, so I don't know. If Chibnall would be much more involved in that. Chris Chibnall would be much more involved in that decision, but it seems to me that they would go with a male minority
before they go with a female
person of color. Before they'd go with a female. I mean, they've done female master, so that's a big step. But I don't think so. I don't think they would yet. I have a feeling. I know Moffat wouldn't. I'm pretty sure Moffat wouldn't. Chibnall, I'm not so sure, but I don't think so either.
Okay. Well,
so that's cool. Now there's a couple of other things. I was looking. I've been keeping up on this show Class.
Yeah, the
spin-off with the teenagers, and I haven't seen any because it's not played here in the U.S. I think in February it's going to be on BBC America, where we can see it. Although I don't know how much I'm going to like it because it's really all teenagers.
Yeah, it's more of a young adult series from what I heard.
And Capaldi was in the initial premieres, and then they just mentioned him a couple of times. But I understand there's an episode toward the end that's kind of like the David Tennant's Midnight episode, which is all self-contained in one room, and there's a lot of tension. So I might want to try to see that one. I mean, I'll check it out. Definitely that one, but I'm not sure. But, got good reviews, so, we'll see. And then there's another piece of thing. There's Power of the Daleks, which is a second Doctor 6-part story from 1966 that was lost. There was a lot of episodes that were lost because they used to just, reuse the tapes and everything.
Yeah.
But this one was never found. And it's been animated.
Oh, really?
Yes, and they actually showed it in U.S. theaters last month. I didn't get to see it. And on BBC America, but I want to see it. I mean, I think it's worth watching. I think they did it in black and white, and there's also going to be a colorized version. But I've talked to several people that have seen it, and they really like it.
So they used it. They used the audio from the original episode.
The original audio,
animated it.
the original audio, and they animated it. With the people and stuff, but
that's interesting.
The same people, So It's pretty, it's pretty cool, especially when you can do, anytime you can do Daleks, is good. So there's, a lot of news, and the Doctor had a little cameo in the Children in Need special recently, because, the Brits do 2 big fundraisers every year. So Children in Need was one, and Eddie Redmayne did a long segment, and in it, the Doctor was in that segment. So that was pretty cool. So we're seeing him around, but we're not going to see him in a show until April.
Well, luckily, we're going to get some Sherlock here in a couple of days. So hopefully that'll quench our thirst until
3 episodes.
Exactly. Well, 3 movies pretty much.
3 movies.
So
Fathom is showing the finale.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I think in middle of January.
Check that out. Cool.
I know.
All right. Well, Lourdes, thanks for coming on. We always enjoy hearing all the Doctor Who news that happens. So,
no problem. Thanks. Bye.
Okay, guys. So, as I said, I'm going to do some top list of 2016 right now. So these are going to be comic books, movies, and TVs that were aired in 2016 or was published in 2016, whichever way you say it. And ones that I really enjoyed. If you haven't checked them out, I highly recommend them. And I'm going to start off with the comic books. These are titles. I think most of them are currently going right now. Continuation. One of them just ended today. And that one is actually Marvel's Civil War 2. Now, when they said they were going to come out with a Civil War 2, or do, however you want to say it, I was like, okay, well, they're obviously just trying to cash grab with the Captain America Civil War movie coming out. Then they have another Civil War comic book, so people can grab that. And I thought it was going to be a throwaway. And it wasn't. I just finished the last issue. It wasn't great, but the series itself, I think, has been decent. We've had a lot of twists and turns and things that really with this last issue, issue 8, set up was kind of the future events coming in the Marvel Universe. There was one splash with a bunch of big beasts. I'm not sure what that was all about. And one of the things that kind of was teased is Ultimate Spider-Man, Miles Morales, killing Captain America. And allegedly that's still going to happen from what they teased. Sorry, guys, I'm spoiling stuff here. But overall, the series, I liked it. So if you haven't read this at all, let me give you the premise, okay? There's this Inhuman called Ulysses. And he has the power to basically see the future, or possible futures. Now, Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel, uses him as a way to stop threats before they happen, which is a good thing, right? In the very first issue or second issue, they see Thanos coming to Earth, so they go out to space and meet him. And in doing so, War Machine, Rhodey, dies. Sorry, I'm spoiling it here. So, Tony Stark is really pissed that his best friend is dead and felt like it could have been avoided if Captain Marvel wouldn't have chosen the path she did. And throughout the series, this Ulysses keeps predicting possible threats. He's predicting Hulk, coming out and killing people. So then they try to go after Bruce Banner. And then they predict Ultimate Spider-Man killing Captain America, so they try to go after him. And just all these scenarios, and Tony is kind of upset because these are all just kind of possible futures. They're not the future, so to speak. Kind of like that, the movie Minority Report, Tom Cruise, They're premonitions that could possibly come true, but we don't know that for sure, and by trying to avert them, it might make things worse. So pretty much in this Civil War, you have Tony Stark leading one side and Captain Marvel, aka Carol Danvers, leading the other side. Overall, like I said, it was interesting. Definitely one of the better storylines I've read in 2016. So like I said, the last issue came out today. Go check it out, see for yourself, let me know what you thought of it. Another one I've really been enjoying is anything Thor related. Yes. Odin's Son, I believe it's called, and then the Mighty Thor, and then of course the previous Thor as well. Jason Aaron has been on this for 2 or 3 years now or so, and he is just doing a phenomenal job with this character. Both Odin's Son and the character of Thor, just really great job. Really good writing these characters and just making them so entertaining. I'm not a Thor guy at all. I've never been a Thor guy, but the way he writes the character, very good. The storylines he creates, very good. One I definitely recommend checking out as well. Star Trek Boldly Go. That's right. So Mike Johnson took over writing an ongoing Star Trek series after the first J.J. Abrams film, and he's kind of continued it ever since. And these are adventures that the crew of the Enterprise has in the Kelvin timeline in between the movies. And honestly, I've been loving it. I mean, I'm not a Star Trek fan, but I really have enjoyed what Mike Johnson has been doing with these characters and this run. Sorry, guys, I had to take a drink. And then this year, after the Star Trek Beyond, that's what it was. That's the film that came out this summer. They went ahead and just started a new series. They dropped Star Trek and they started up the new series called Star Trek Boldly Go. And one thing I like about it is that it kind of incorporates all these things from the Star Wars mythology and puts them in the Kelvin timeline. So say, for instance, in the first Star Trek series that Johnson did, he had one storyline where it involved the Deep Space Nine crew and them going to a possible future and getting mixed up with that as well. And then there was another one where the current one is actually the crew of the Enterprise having just kind of divided up after the events of Star Trek Beyond run into the Borg. And so now they're trying to, find out who the Borg are and deal with all that. So it's taking these things from, Deep Space Nine and Next Generation and I'm sure Voyager and all this stuff and just putting it all in together like kind of a melting pot and seeing how these characters deal with it. And of course, me not being a fan or a hardcore fan of Star Trek, but I am a fan of the Kelvin timeline in Star Trek, I'm enjoying the hell out of it. It's just, it's fun fan service to see these characters interact with other things within the Star Trek franchise and see how they react and see how they mix. So it's just a hell of a good time. Another one I enjoy, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Oh my god, yes, I just said that. Okay, so we all know the movie's coming out in March, and as a child of early 90s, like I said, I claim 1985 to 1995 as kind of my jams for cartoons and kids shows, really is what it was. So Mighty Morphin Power Rangers definitely falls in that category. And they have the movie coming out in March, which I'm going to go see as a former fan. I'll go check it out. They started a new series. Now, Boom Studios has had several Power Rangers series or miniseries that they have done, but they've all been kind of kiddie-ish and not very interesting. What they're doing with this new ongoing series is making it a little more mature. I mean, it's still not, hardcore Preacher or, Hellboy or whatever, but it's definitely more mature than what they've done in the past. And with this one, they're starting off the events right after the Green Ranger saga, where Tommy has, just joined the team. He's the Green Ranger, and the rest of the guys are trying to figure out, can they really trust him, because they just went through a whole ordeal where he almost destroyed them all completely. So that's kind of an interesting dynamic. And in this storyline as well, Rita Repulsa has found a way to take away the rest of the Power Rangers' powers. So really it's just Tommy in there, or the Green Ranger, trying to defeat Rita by himself and, taking all that on. And it's interesting. Again, kind of nostalgic a little because I am, like I said, a Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan, excuse me. So with this, it's interesting, it's definitely tickling my nostalgia bone. And if you're a fan of the Power Rangers, I just recommend you check it out. All right, last on my list as comic books of 2016, I recommend Superman. Post-Rebirth, or during Rebirth, I guess, Superman is not the Superman of New 52, which is good because I hated New 52 Superman. I mean, there was maybe 2 storylines in the New 52 Superman that I actually enjoyed. The rest of it, I couldn't. I've read Superman comics ever since, before the death of Superman. So I've stayed with him for a while. So to go back and see the New 52 Superman, the way he was, the way they rewrote his history, I just wasn't a big fan of it. I just couldn't handle it. But what they've done now, which I love, is they've taken that Superman that I grew up on, the one that, proposed to Lois Lane in the issue of Superman 50, the one who died by Doomsday in Superman 75, the one who went through Infinite Crisis, the one who went through the events of New Krypton, all that. And what's happened is his Lois Lane, they have a son named Jonathan, and they are kind of hurled into the New 52 world, what it is. And turns out this Superman has been in the background the entire time, just kind of watching over this universe. He's got a black costume, he stays in the shadows, he helps people, but kind of letting this world's Superman, this world's Justice League, this world's heroes play out on its own and just kind of give a helping hand when he can in events. Lois Lane has become a book writer, but she's doing it under a pen name, so they don't know it's Lois Lane because, again, this world has a Lois Lane as well. And they're not the Kents, they're, I think, the Smiths or something like that. But yeah, so you have Lois, Clark, and Jonathan, and they live out in the country, and they just try to lead a quiet life, is what they try to do. But after the events of, the last days of Superman or something like that, the one where the New 52 Superman dies, they realize that this world needs a Superman, so older Clark Kent steps up. And maybe it's just because I'm a father now, and I myself am a little more mature, but I am enjoying this Superman so much more than New 52 Superman. But also just the things that he says. He knows how to act. And he's also trying to teach his son how to act. There's a great line in there where he takes him to, I believe it's the Fortress of Solitude, or he takes him on a mission, I believe, and he's telling him, he's like, look, being Superman means doing the right thing when, no one's looking, or even when it's the hardest thing to do. It's doing the right thing, always. And it was just a really great line that, it made me feel, yes, this is my Superman. This is what Superman is supposed to be, and I love it. Now, with that, we also have the other side of it, where this is to the New 52 Justice League a different Superman, a stranger to them, not the one they've known for years. So Batman doesn't trust him. Wonder Woman's unsure of him. They're not sure what to make of him, per se. So it gives a whole new twist to, Superman and the Justice League. Just very enjoyable reading. Action Comics has been okay, but the actual Superman title, I think, has been my favorite. So like I said, as a long-time Superman reader, I am just excited. I feel like it's back up to par, and looking forward to where it goes from here. Hopefully they keep up with some good storylines for him. So, all right, so moving on to top movies, superhero or fantasy or sci-fi related, that I enjoyed this year. I tried to come up with 5, guys. I really tried to come up with 5 that was like, yes, you need to see these movies. And honestly, I couldn't come up with a lot. There are ones that are kind of in the running. There's X-Men Apocalypse, which I really enjoyed. Rogue One, I super enjoyed. I think if I had to put number 5, that might be my number 5. Fantastic Beasts, Doctor Strange, all these are fine films, but not films that be like, yes, you have to go see them and you will like them. No, I can't do that for you. And then, of course, another one I thought about was Warcraft, but I myself haven't seen Warcraft yet, so I really can't recommend it. So I only come up with really 4 films in the sci-fi and fantasy genre that I feel like are worthy of your time. Starting off, we got Deadpool. Look, we've all heard the news, the buzz around Deadpool. Came out back in February. Ryan Reynolds cracking jokes, finally doing justice to this character that was so butchered in the Wolverine Origins film. Ryan Reynolds bringing this to life with the help of director Tim Miller. Little sad that Tim Miller is no longer going to be directing the sequel, but I think given the history of the character and Ryan Reynolds' struggle to bring the character to the big screen, I think he's more of a driving force behind it than Tim Miller was. So I think it'll be okay. I think we'll be all right there. But Deadpool, the film itself, highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. Just kind of, makes fun of the whole superhero genre as well, which was really good, refreshing, and fun to watch, and just overall just a funny film. It lacks, I think where it lacks is the villain. He's not the best villain in the world, but you're going to laugh, you're going to have a lot of action, and if you haven't seen Deadpool by now, what the hell, man? Go watch it. But just as an FYI, make sure you don't see it with your kids. I know you think, oh, it's a superhero movie. No. I remember when I saw it in theaters, there were so many parents that took their kids. And this film has uber violence, uber language, sex, nudity. It has it all in there. So please, don't go to your kids just because you think it's a superhero movie. Be a responsible parent. Check to see what the ratings is on a film before you take your kids to it, and see why it's rated that and all that garbage, okay? Let's be responsible. Parents, please, okay? All right, moving on. Next film, one that probably might surprise you, probably one of my favorite animated movies of the year, Kubo and the Two Strings. It's a fantasy film, so I think it definitely qualifies in this category. Such an enjoyable film. Such an enjoyable film. Really, it's the classic hero's journey is what it is. I really don't know what else to say about this film except for go see it. The animation is beautiful. The story is beautiful. The voice talent is great. It is the classic Joseph Campbell's hero's journey in its purest sense. I mean, the whole time I was watching it, I was thinking about Star Wars as well and the journey, of Luke Skywalker to go along with this. So please, I think it's out on DVD, I believe. Go see Kubo and the Two Strings. Rent it. Thank me later. All right, next up, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, but the ultimate cut. Okay, soapbox, real quick, guys. Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, the theatrical cut blows. Okay, I'm sorry, it does. And I know why, because after I saw the ultimate cut, I realized why the theatrical cut sucks. And of course, it has to do with editing, but also to do with the story they wanted to tell. It is clear when you look at the two different cuts, whoever edited the theatrical cut wanted to tell a Batman story. They didn't want to tell a Batman and Superman story. They wanted to tell strictly a Batman story, because 30 minutes of that film that was in the ultimate cut is all stuff of Clark Kent and Superman and his story arc. It helps build him up. After I saw the ultimate cut, the word I thought of was epic for the film, but then when I saw it in the theaters, the word I thought was crap. And I was so disappointed in Warner Brothers and what they had done, because Zack Snyder, as much crap as I give him, I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan. I think the ultimate cut, if that was what he truly wanted, that was a good film. That was a good film to tell story, but they butchered so much of that cut to try to get it down to 2.5 hours, to try to, get more showings and try to get more seats and make more money. I'm like, you idiots, okay? If you just would have put out a 3-hour movie that was a quality film, you would have filled your seats. I would have gone to see it at least 3 times, okay? But you didn't. You tried to make sense of it, and then when Batman v Superman floundered at the box office as well as critic ratings, you tried to put everything in a Suicide Squad, and then that's going down the tube for you, and now all hopes are on Wonder Woman and Justice League in 2017. I don't know. The DC film franchise, hopefully, from what I hear, is taking a turn for the better under new management. But let's wait and see. But I will tell you this, guys. Yes, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice is a 3-hour long movie. But it tells a very epic narrative that satisfies Batman, a.k.a. Bruce Wayne, and Superman, a.k.a. Clark Kent. And you see a lot more of the characters and understand their motivation as to when they get to that fight at the end. I'm not saying it still doesn't have problems. There are things about this film that still bother me, even in the ultimate cut. But it's like I said, there were so many mishaps and mistakes in the theatrical cut that you can't forgive them all, okay? But in a film such as the Ultimate Cut, when almost everything else is good, you're willing to forgive those little mishaps, okay? Like say, for instance, I'm going to skip right ahead to my number one film, 2016, to go see in the comic book, superhero, and sci-fi genre, Captain America Civil War. People give it shit because they feel like Marvel has this paint by numbers now of mixing action and comedy, and it's, they're not surprising, there are no stakes, yada, yada, yada. I was entertained by the film, at least. I cared about these characters. And going back to Batman v Superman, yes, Captain America Civil War does have its flaws, okay? It does have issues that are like, well, that's not believable, or that was weird, or, not should be in there. But they were few and far between, and I was so entertained by the rest of the film, I was willing to forgive those little mishaps as well. Excuse me. All right, back on it. Captain America Civil War, awesome. I mean, it's a film that, especially after I watched it with a director's cut, all the things that I was like, well, that seems like an odd choice, or they shouldn't have done that, I hear the directors explain why they did those things, and it made more sense, and honestly, it made the film more enjoyable. Now, I know the biggest gripe that people have was the Rhodey situation where he fell and he didn't die. And also how, in the airport scene, they're fighting, but no one really gets hurt. Well, there's a reason for that. They don't want to hurt each other, okay? They're all friends, okay? If you're, pulling your punches and all that stuff, you really don't want to hurt each other. Rhodey was an accident, which it looks like is going to be breezed over. So again, another issue I have with the film, but it doesn't take away from my enjoyment of it and the story they're trying to tell. Overall, just a great one. Now, other people comment that there are a lot of similarities between Captain America Civil War and Batman v Superman. And yeah, there are. There are a lot of similarities story beat-wise. But again, it's in the art of it. It's in how you craft the story. It's how you, edit and make us care about the characters. And the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman did not have that. Captain America Civil War made us care about what was happening, about the characters, and it was just an overall entertaining film. And for those of you who say, oh, it's all about the laughs, Marvel's just, trying to get a yuck out of you, go back and watch that film again. The yucks do not start until you bring in Ant-Man and Spider-Man. Up until that point, it's a very serious film. Sure, there are a few quips that are thrown, but the jokes don't start until you bring in those two characters. And for a good reason, because those are your characters that you want to get the funny stuff from. But like I said, Captain America Civil War, my number one fantasy sci-fi film that I saw this year so far. I haven't seen all movies. It's impossible for one person to see everything or read everything. So this is all just based off of what I've seen. Now, with that being said, I'm going to give you my top TV shows of 2016. Again, people know I don't watch Doctor Who. I don't watch Walking Dead. So this is all just the stuff that I've seen and that I enjoy, what I feel are kind of my top choices, okay? So, starting off towards the bottom, CW's Arrow. Season 4 of Arrow was atrocious. It sucked so bad. I came home every night, knowing that it was on and I was going to watch it, but I wasn't looking forward to it at all. Season 5 has come back in a big way. Story-wise, character-wise, it's just so engaging right now, and I'm loving it. If you, if you dropped off or, gave up on Arrow, please come back to it. Start with Season 5, Episode 1. It has really grabbed you now, and hands down, it's probably my favorite of the CW DC shows. Flash was number one for a while, but if you go just off the mid-season finales that just aired, I'm going to go Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, Legends Tomorrow. I highly recommend Arrow. It's getting so good. If you like Season 1 and Season 2, come back with Season 5. I guarantee you will not be sad by it. And if you watch it and you're still pissed off, you can yell at me, okay? Yell at me on social media. I'll take the hit, okay? So, next show I recommend of 2016, Star Wars Rebels. Really, this comes down to two things, why I recommend this show. The Season 2 finale and the Season 3 premiere. Season 2 started off with Ahsoka Tano and Darth Vader. And it was great. And you knew it was all going to come down to the confrontation between former Anakin Skywalker and his Padawan. And it did. And along with that, we got the reappearance of Darth Maul and an awesome battle with the Inquisitors at a Sith temple. That last episode of the season did not disappoint at all. We had an epic Ahsoka Darth Vader showdown. It was awesome. We had a Maul versus Kanan fight where Maul blinded Kanan, and that goes on to affect the character later on. Epic Season 2. I still go back and watch that episode several times now because it's just so great. Season 3 started off because Season 2 left us on such a high point. We were just drooling for Season 3. And in Season 3, we see, first off, Kanan trying to deal with his blindness, where he has to trust the Force more, trust his abilities, and I think that makes him stronger Jedi as well. You see Kanan grow as a character and his ability, Ezra grow in his abilities and become a much stronger character, but also dabbling in the dark side. If you've seen that Season 3 premiere, you know what I'm talking about. And you also see Maul is still on the hunt to try to make Ezra his apprentice. Also in Season 3, we see the great episode where Maul kidnaps the crew of the Ghost, and Kanan and Ezra has to go save them. And Maul uses the Jedi and the Sith holocrons to try to get what he wants. And in doing so, he finds his nemesis, Obi-Wan Kenobi. In the mid-season finale, again, he tries to recruit Ezra to, help him gain power. And we see a lot of good stuff. Mainly, one thing that's going to, carry on, hopefully, is going to be Sabine picking up the Darksaber. We know that from Dave Filoni, he said that this season is going to be very Sabine heavy. We haven't seen it yet, but I think it's coming up. Being a former member or coming from the Death Watch clan and what that Darksaber means to her past, I think we got some good stuff coming up with the Mandalorians and Sabine to go. So, Star Wars Rebels, if you're not a Star Wars fan and you're not watching Rebels, please do so. One of my buddies, Joshua Griffey, who he has his own podcast, The Long Box Sessions, which, by the way, I'll go ahead and give him a plug. All right? He and his buddy Alex, they are much more into comic books than I am. I mean, I've grown up on DC and Marvel, and that's usually what I stay. I dabble outside sometimes, but that's normally where I go. Those guys, they talk about all the independent stuff and the non-DC, non-superhero stuff. I give them credit for that. So if you're looking for guys with deep comic knowledge, more so than I recommend going and checking out the Long Box Sessions. They're a little harsh, a little cynical, but they know what they're talking about because they do read a lot of different things, more diverse than I do. So, all right, moving on to Voltron Legendary Defender. Oh my God. Now, this is from the guys who, the crew or whatever, creative team that made Legend of Korra, which was that spinoff from Avatar: The Last Airbender. I was a fan of Voltron Defender of the Universe growing up, so I was kind of excited to see what the new spin on it is, and the new spin is amazing, okay? If you want a really good sci-fi show, really good fantasy show, Voltron Legendary Defender is where it's at. Season 2 comes out next month, and I am so excited for it. I still have to go back and rewatch Season 1, but it is awesome. I highly recommend it if you're into, again, the sci-fi space genre. I can't recommend it. The spins they did, the different things they did with Shiro and Pidge and the Castle of Lions and all this other stuff. It was a great way to modernize this, and the characters, the way they're portrayed, it's just great, guys. I really cannot say. If you know what Voltron is, and you think, hey, I wonder how Voltron Legendary Defender is, do not hesitate. Go right now on Netflix and check out season 1. Again, I don't think you'll be disappointed. Alright, so these last 2 TV shows, I was trying to go back and forth as to what was number 1, what was number 2. I honestly couldn't decide, so I'm just going to give them to you in no real order. First I'm going to talk about is Daredevil Season 2. I remember it premiered back in April, and I took the day off work. I dropped my daughter off at daycare, went to Costco, picked up a large pizza, because I like their pizza for some reason, and I got home, and I just binged it. I binged probably the first 6 episodes until it was time for me to go pick up my daughter from daycare, and it was amazing, guys. What Marvel is doing with their Netflix shows is great. I mean, I liked season 1 of Daredevil was okay. I really liked Jessica Jones. And then Daredevil season 2 hit, and oh my god. It was John Berthal as the Punisher, Yolanda Young as Elektra. What it did to deepen this character, it's awesome. It's totally awesome. Out of the 5 or what is this 4 seasons of Netflix seasons Marvel has given us, it's definitely number 1. I'll go that number 1. I'll go Jessica Jones number 2. Sadly, I think I'm going to put Daredevil Season 1 at number 3 and then Luke Cage. Not to say I didn't like Luke Cage, but I enjoyed it a lot. But Daredevil is one of my favorite Marvel characters, so I'll give him the benefit. And I am super excited for Iron Fist. I've already got that day requested. Not only is it St. Patrick's Day, but it's the day that Iron Fist Season 1 premieres. Iron Fist, again, one of my favorite Marvel characters. I'm going to just make some of my infamous kryptonite liquor and watch some Iron Fist all day long until it's time to go out to the bars. I'm super excited about it. Marvel's Netflix has been definitely on par so much. Going back to Daredevil Season 2. Season 1 was definitely, could be called it's definitely more mature. It was a big surprise to people that, are used to the Marvel movies. Season 1 was borderline PG-13, maybe a little rated R. Season 2 was totally rated R. I mean, you had the Punisher in there just killing people left and right and stabbing and punching. It's rated R. I mean, I talked to a guy the other day where I recommended it to him, but I told him, look, do not let your kids see this, though. You want to go see the Marvel movies? That's great. But don't let them see Daredevil Season 2 because, again, being a responsible parent, I won't let my kid go see it. That's for sure. But I cannot recommend Daredevil Season. Probably one of the best seasons of TV I've ever watched. Could not recommend it highly enough. Could not. Especially if you're a superhero fan. So go watch it. It'll make you forget all about that silly little Ben Affleck movie. Although the director's cut was fun. I'll give you that, Ben. But after watching Netflix's Daredevil Seasons 1 and 2, I had to throw out my director's copy of Daredevil because even though I think the director's cut of Daredevil is okay, it is nothing compared to the Daredevil Netflix seasons. Nothing. So, anyway, last one, by no surprise, guys, Game of Thrones Season 6. Probably my favorite season of Game of Thrones. So much action, so much drama. It was just great. And really, the moment that sticks out for me in Season 6, which if you haven't seen it yet, of course, a little spoiler here, is when Sansa Stark arrives at Castle Black. And she looks up and she sees her half-brother, Jon Snow. Now, the Stark siblings have not been together since Season 1, Episode 2. That was the last time any of them, I think, really they were all together. And after what Sansa's been through, she goes to Castle Black looking for safety for her, and she finds Jon Snow. And their relationship has, before they, left Winterfell, they weren't the best. Because, she always knew that Jon Snow was a bastard and kind of looked down upon him. But in that moment, they see each other after everything those two have been through 6 or 5 seasons, and they hug, and the drama and emotion behind it flies off the TV. Probably my favorite moment from this season. But of course, you have the battle for Winterfell, which also was amazing. Just a really great season of TV. I don't understand why people don't like Game of Thrones. I really don't, because it's right now one of my top television shows of all time. It's amazing, and I cannot wait for the next season to start. So, all right, guys, that's it. I'm done. Just want to give you a couple things to recommend. If you have not checked out any of the things I've recommended here, as far as movies, TV shows, or comic book titles, get on it, okay? If you don't like it, come back and yell at me on social media or on the Gmail account, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com. I want to thank Lourdes Manning for coming in and talking Doctor Who. We don't get to talk a lot of it as much as I'd like, because again, I don't watch Doctor Who, but I try to bring people in that have other interests than I do to give a little diversity and to satisfy those who listen. I like to do that with Walking Dead as well, but my Walking Dead guy, Josh, never wants to come on the show. So maybe one of these times, maybe season finale or something, I'll beg him to come on so we can talk some Walking Dead. But in any event, guys, this is the last podcast of 2016. Just a little reflection here. I've been doing this podcast for over a year now, and I've enjoyed doing it. I know sometimes I ramble. I know sometimes I don't have the best quality production, but I enjoy doing it. I enjoy hearing you guys talk about this, and knowing that people are listening makes a lot of difference. I know there's not a lot of people that listen, but those who do, let me say I do appreciate you. And tell your friends. I mean, if you like this, share it with 2 friends, and then they'll tell 2 friends, and so on and so on. And before you know it, I'll be up in big lights. I doubt it, but it's a dream. All right, guys. So until next time, may I say, the Force will be with us all.